My brother married my ex. Now their troubled relationship is affecting the family, and everyone is picking sides. I, 27, have a complicated family dynamic, to say the least. My ex-boyfriend Alex, 30, and I dated for 3 years, and during that time he became very close with my family. He was charming, helpful, and honestly my parents liked him more than I did by the end of the relationship. We broke up amicably, or at least I thought we did. But it still hurt when less than a year later, my brother Matt, 32M, announced that he and Alex were dating. At first, I tried to be supportive. Love is love, and it wasn't like I wanted Alex back, but the dynamic became unbearable when they got married, and Alex basically inserted himself into every family situation. He has a talent for turning conversations into awkward reminders of our past relationship. Fast forward to now, their relationship is a complete disaster. They fight constantly and drag my parents into it. My mum confided in me that Alex has been pressuring Matt to buy a house he doesn't want, and now Matt's credit is ruined. Additionally, Alex's behavior at family gatherings has been unbearable. He got drunk at my niece's birthday party last week and made a toast where he joked about how he dated me first and married someone better. I'm torn between letting this fire burn out on its own and intervening to tell my brother he deserves better. Has anyone dealt with a situation where a family member married their ex? How do I handle this without completely destroying the family? I bought an old cell phone at a thrift store and it has photos of my house. I don't usually post stuff like this online, but I can't stop thinking about what happened, and maybe someone here has an explanation. A few weeks ago, I went to a local thrift store to look for cheap electronics. I play around with old phones as a hobby, taking them apart, repurposing parts, that sort of thing. It's a small town store, the kind where everything is dusty and half the stock is donated junk that probably should have been thrown away. Among the usual piles of broken flip phones and old chargers, I found a smartphone. It wasn't anything special, but it was intact and only cost $10. The back was scratched and there was adhesive residue, but it seemed like it could still work. I didn't even test it. I just grabbed it and paid. The phone wasn't clean. This isn't all that unusual with thrifted electronics, but it's always a little strange to see someone's life still stored on a device they got rid of. There weren't many apps installed and most of the phone seemed pretty empty, but there were photos, lots of photos. The first ones were normal, blurry pictures of a dog, random images of the inside of a car. The timestamps were inconsistent, suggesting the photos had been taken over several years. Then I noticed one of the photos looked familiar. It was a picture of a white house. The angle was odd, like it had been taken from the street or from a distance. But it wasn't just any house. It was my house. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence. My house is an older model, one of those cookie-cutter homes you see in small towns. But as I scrolled further, there were more photos. Close-ups of my front door, my mailbox, my car in the driveway. The dates on these photos were recent. My stomach dropped. I couldn't understand why someone would have photos of my house, and even more so, why they were on a phone I had randomly picked up. I kept scrolling, my hands getting sweaty. The photos grew more invasive. One was taken through the window of my living room. I don't have curtains in that room, just blinds that I usually keep partially open. In the photo, the angle was low, like it had been taken by someone crouching outside. You could see part of my sofa and the corner of my coffee table. Then came a photo of my bedroom window. This one was at night. The flash reflected off the glass, and through it you could see my bed and part of my nightstand. I don't know how many photos there were in total. I stopped counting after a while. Some were old based on the state of the vegetation or the condition of my garden. Others seem to have been taken in the last few weeks. I don't have neighbors close enough to see through my windows, and I don't remember anyone hanging around my house. I live alone, and my house is on the edge of town, surrounded by woods. The last photo I looked at before I shut off the phone was of my backyard. It had been taken from the tree line looking toward the house. You could see the porch light on and the sliding glass door. I swear I could see my shadow through the curtains. I couldn't bring myself to look at the phone again. I threw it in a drawer in the garage, but sometimes I feel like I can hear it vibrating or ringing, even though I know it's probably just my imagination. I've started double-checking if all the doors and windows are locked, and I bought blackout curtains for every room. I don't know who the previous owner of that phone was or why they had those photos. I don't know if that person is still around. But every time I think about it, I get that same strange feeling I had when I realized those photos weren't random. They were deliberate. And someone had been watching me. I walked into my boss's office and accidentally discovered the company's darkest secret. It started like any other Monday morning. The office buzzed with the usual chatter of co-workers complaining about the end of the weekend and the incessant clicking of computer keys. I had just grabbed my coffee and sat down at my desk when my boss, Mr. Harper, called me into his office. "Hey, can you grab the quarterly report from my desk?" he asked hurriedly, waving me over. "I'll be back in 10 minutes. It wasn't an unusual request. Mr. Harper was always running late for meetings, leaving me to handle the loose ends. But when I walked into his office and saw the pile of papers on his desk, I realized I had no idea which report he wanted. "Which one is it?" I muttered, digging through the piles. That's when I noticed a folder hidden under a stack of invoices. It was marked with a single word in bold red letters. "Confidential." Curiosity took over. I checked the door, making sure no one was nearby, and opened the folder. What I found inside made my stomach drop. The folder contained documents detailing years of fraudulent transactions, fake invoices, forged signatures, and accounts siphoning money into offshore banks. At first, I thought it might be a mistake, but the volume of evidence made it clear. Mr. Harper had been embezzling money from the company. The last page was the most shocking. It was a letter addressed to someone named J.S., outlining a plan to frame an innocent employee if anyone got too close to the truth. My blood ran cold when I saw the name of the employee. It was mine. I stood there, frozen, the folder trembling in my hands. Harper must have known someone was starting to suspect, and he had already put a plan into motion to make me the scapegoat. I quickly put the folder back under the invoices just as I heard footsteps approaching. My heart raced as Harper walked in, his usual smile on his face. "Did you find it?" he asked casually. Not yet," I stammered, grabbing a random report from the desk. "This one?" He glanced at the report briefly and nodded. "Perfect, thanks. You're always on top of things." His words sent a chill down my spine. Was he testing me? Did he already know I had seen the folder? The rest of the day was a blur. I couldn't focus on my work, my mind racing with questions. How long had this been going on? Who else was involved? And, most importantly, what would I do about it? When I got home, I already had a plan. I copied the documents to a USB drive and emailed them to myself as a backup. Then I started researching whistleblower laws and contacted a lawyer. The next few days were agonizing. Harper's behavior became more erratic. He called me in for unnecessary tasks, questioned my work, and even hinted that layoffs were coming. I knew he was testing the waters, trying to see if I had discovered anything. But I stayed calm and focused, pretending everything was fine while quietly gathering more evidence. A week later, I walked into a meeting with HR and the board of directors. With my lawyer by my side, I presented the documents and detailed everything I had uncovered. The fallout was immediate. Harper was escorted out of the building within hours, and a full investigation was launched. Several other high-ranking employees were implicated, and the company's reputation took a major hit. It wasn't easy. Some co-workers hated me for exposing the scandal, and I spent months dealing with the aftermath. But in the end, justice was served. Sometimes, doing the right thing means walking into the storm instead of running from it. And though I'll never forget the fear I felt in Harper's office that day, I'll always be proud of standing up for what was right. So, what did you think about these amazing Reddit stories? Which one shocked you the most or made you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. See you next time.